Welcome back to our Autism at Home's 28th series. I'm Jochebed Isaacs, and join me as we discuss tips for food challenges with children with autism. This is lesson 2, and it's all about starting right with some healthy eating routines. Every child and family may have different values and habits when it comes to eating, but the way we start makes all the difference. So for example, when a baby is born, nurses will try to get the baby to latch to their mum immediately and avoid introducing bottled milk, as if the baby starts with drinking from the bottle, which is much easier to suck, then the baby may find it very difficult to go back to latching. It is important to note that some children with autism, though, may even struggle with latching onto the breast during feeding time, and some may struggle with even changing different milk bottles as well. Similarly, when starting with solids, if we start with foods that have a lot of seasoning and sugar, firstly, that's not healthy for very young children. But additionally, once a young child starts having processed sugar, it can be very difficult to go back to fruits and especially vegetables. In fact, experts suggest to start with pureed vegetables and not pureed fruits, so a young baby will be more willing to eat vegetables. And then of course, when it comes to the actual meal time, if a child gets used to sitting in front of a screen to eat, it can be very difficult to feed a child independently than without screens. Now, giving the child a tab at meal times may be a temporary relief for carers and parents. However, the long-term effects can be detrimental to the overall development of their eating habits. Let's dive into the different strategies on how we, the adults, can help children develop some healthy eating routines through simple yet intentional techniques, including modeling. Yes, that's right. That means it's on us to model the right or healthier choices and routine. So every tip we go over, we ourselves need to try to put it into practice. Eating at the dining table. Now, family meal times have been proven to have great benefits, which includes developing a healthy physical and social-emotional well-being, building family bonding, as well as the development of healthy disciplines within the family. So first and foremost, try to have meal times at the dining table. Yes, this means that parents too, we will need to try to always eat our meals at the dining table. This includes breakfast, lunch, dinner, so every meal time and possibly even snack time too, to ensure that the food is only served at the dining table and everyone needs to be seated down at the table to eat. Secondly, meal times without screen time. As the times have changed, so have meal times, where many of us may have TV dinners, or children may have iPads or tablets in front of them, while even us as adults and parents may also be multitasking with our phones while eating. But we encourage families to try to start meal times without any screen time. Now, even if it's going to take a little bit longer, it's worth it, as it's an opportunity for a child to learn to sit at the table, explore their food, but also communicate and interact with others at the table. Also, we know that more mindful eating leads to preventing us from overeating, which can lead to other health problems such as obesity. Now, I can already hear the parents saying, oh no, without screen time, my child's going to walk away from the table, they can't sit still. And firstly, this is obviously a lesson that's about starting right. So really, when a 6-month-old is starting to eat, put them in a high chair, they can't climb out yet. Thankfully, you can still strap them in, and you can start to teach them that meals are only at the table. Gradually, you will need to fade the high chair, but hopefully your child will understand that structure and association of sitting at the table, and then can transition to the proper dining table and chair. Now, if a child already has an established behavior of only sitting for meal times when there is a screen and will run off if not, then we would encourage the use of a first-then board. First eat, then iPad, which is essentially pairing with reinforcement. So initially, a child will have to take one bite of food, then the iPad will be turned on. Then pause the iPad, the child needs to eat another bite of food, and the list goes on. Then it progressed to the child needing to eat just 2 bites of food, then only the iPad gets turned on, and we gradually can increase it that way. We would actually use this first-then strategy as well for adults who have to chase children around the house to feed them because they refuse to sit at the table. You can use the first-then board and pair that with strong reinforcement like the iPad. but that the child has to sit at the table first, eat one bite, and then only get the iPad turned on. Additionally, we could pair favorite snacks or treats or desserts with the table, so a child would only get these preferred foods when and if they sit at the table and eat. Thirdly, start or try to start with healthy choices. Now, to start with healthy food choices, especially when young babies have never eaten anything in their life before, do not start with chocolates. Start with pureed vegetables. Maybe you can have a bit of sweetness like a bit of mashed sweet potato or pumpkin, but try to avoid all the artificial foods for as long as you can. And yes, this includes us parents modeling making healthy food choices. Some families even start their toddlers on portion plates to model healthy choices naturally from young. And I know some parents may be thinking, gosh, my children already have such a limited food repertoire. I can't even get them to eat anything but French fries, let alone try veggies and fruits. And don't worry, we have a few other lessons to cover all of that in more detail. But remember, this lesson is about starting right with those kiddos that haven't yet been exposed to other foods. And when it comes to drinks, let's try to model drinking water, not store-bought juices, not cordials, and especially not sodas. Fourthly, finish your food. Another part of a healthy mealtime routine is finishing your food off your plate. And if your child tends to eat in small portions, it would be best to give a minimal amount of food on their plate. Maybe even starting with a portion that they will almost definitely finish up, even if that means starting with just a spoonful of food. Then once consistent success is observed across mealtimes, you may gradually increase the portion. When they do empty their plate, do give them lots of attention, praise, and rewards if possible. This can also teach them to eventually sit through the entire mealtime before they can leave the table, which is also part of a healthy eating routine. Along with this is overall portion control, and do look out for those snacks. Some kiddos may be filling up too much on snacks outside of meal times, hence find it difficult to finish their full meal, so do look out for that. Fifthly, take dishes to the sink. Last but not least, we could teach our kiddos from a young age to take their cutlery to the sink. I mean, start them young on some independence, am I right? And now it's your turn. Of the 5 areas noted in this lesson, are there any that your family is practicing well at the moment? And it's totally fine if you didn't get to start right, because that's what this series is all about. We can do some reteaching and some unlearning. Firstly, eating at the dining table. Secondly, meal times without screen time. Healthy choices. Finishing their food and taking dishes to the sink. Which one do you think is the easiest to implement quite naturally, and could you and your family start that today? And lastly, how are the adults in your home in these 5 areas? Essentially, are we ourselves as adults modeling the behaviors we want to see in our kiddos? So that's it. Those are some of the recommended strategies to just start right with some healthy eating routines, and of course, set your child up for success by ensuring that they are not loaded up with snacks before mealtimes. Join us in the next lesson as we discuss a more natural approach for food exposure, and don't forget to like and hit subscribe for more updates. Do stay tuned. Also, with thank you for your support and with the amount of interest we have received online, we have actually started providing online services and have worked over the years with clients in other states of Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, China, Kuwait, New Zealand, and Switzerland. So do scan the QR code below and get in touch with us for more information. If you haven't already, do check out our free online resource platform, Autism at Home, which has all the corresponding articles and downloadables for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay updated. Take care, and we will see you soon.